Well, I thought I'd share with people my little emergency power backup system. Installed this at my little camp out in the woods. I did this mainly because I want to go through what I did during Katrina, hunting gas and being without power for an extended amount of time. I want to mainly focus on the transfer switches, how they work and how I put them in my system, and the critical loads panel. We got quite a few videos about batteries and stuff out there, pretty good. So I'll leave that to others. I'll go ahead and show you mine real quick because I know people are curious. It's a 24 volt system, 4 in series, 3 parallel. I know having this many in parallel, it has this balancing issues. That's what those little wires are for. If I had to do it over again, I'd probably do it a little differently. Nonetheless, that's what I got. Here's 6 volt, 220 amp hour. It's kind of the setup I have there. It totals out 24 volts at 660 amp hours, the battery bank, which equates to 15,840 watts, just under 8,000 watts at 50% draw. It's probably more like 7,000, maybe even a little under that, of actual usage, I would say. And the reason why, the inefficiency of the Magnum itself. It also depends on resistance of the wires, the battery temperature, age of the batteries. I'll run light loads on mine, so it's, according to the manual, the graph, it shows probably about 91% efficiency what I run at. But if you run heavy loads, it can go down as 85%. So nonetheless, right now I kind of have it in a test mode. I'm inverting. That's my transfer switch there. Right above it is a little disconnect I have. Since the transfer switch doesn't have fuses, this mine doesn't, I had to add that. I have that off, it's in the down position. And what that's essentially doing is cutting the power to my MagnaSign. MagnaSign sees that, and go ahead, once it sees that, it starts to invert, if you have a program, so, and starts putting potential to my critical loads panel there. I think I've drawn real quick. Oh, look at that, it's inverting. That's what I'm on now, about 18, 20 amps. I just got some lights, refrigerator, TV, internet, and the lights down here in the basement, a part of my critical loads. I'll show you the print over here. So this is a little print I drew up for it. This is a very simplistic version of it. All it is draw in the hot wires, the plaques. I didn't draw in the grounds or the neutrals, showing return. Also just showing one load. All the loads are going to be identical. It's just duplicated. If I put more, it'd just be more wires and we'll add to the confusion. So for sake of simplicity, just so at a glance I can look at it and remember what's what. Nonetheless, it's all correct. It works. So I'm showing the power company coming in. We got a 60 amp breaker upside. It comes in, branches to my main breaker panel, which is right next to it. That's it. And then it ties in to the critical loads via this. And it also branches this way to my 30 amp disconnect, which I have off right now. This is up, if you can visualize this thing broken. And this transfer switch is technically right now, it's showing it in the open mode or the off mode. This is a mechanical switch with 3 different positions. It has one this way off and the other one this way. and my generator if I choose plug in. Sticking with this real quick. So again, this just represents the black. If any of y'all ever wired in one of these transfer switches with the breakers in it, you'll know that you have to take your load and redirect it technically to this box here. And you take the black wire off the breaker and you tie it to the black wire that they provide here. And essentially, instead of showing all that, essentially is just this. It goes to the center part of that little rocker switch. This right here represents the rocker switch. This would be the common. It's shown as the off position. This would be on this way, this would be on that way. Let me go to my other print so I'm not shaking so much. So right now, this is a situation I have. I have the Magnum. It's inverting because power is coming in from the power company, but I have this off. And it's going through, well, it's not going through that because it's off there. So the Magnum doesn't sense any power from the generator or the power company, so it turns itself on. It starts taking these batteries, inverting it, and putting potential all the way to this breaker here. Right now I have it to this over here, up to load. So if I take that toggle switch right above it and flip it, the power will go off, and the lights will go off. I'll go demonstrate that now. And if I put it this way, it's going to go back to line power. So show you that real quick. So here's my switch. This is for the lights down here. This is the breaker. I'll do that one first. Now you can see that breaker. So killed it. So here's my generator. If I put it in middle position, it goes off. Well, if we go all the way down, it goes a line. It just goes straight to the main circuit panel because I have power from the power company right now. So that's why it's working now. And of course, then this has no effect because it's going through the other breaker in the breaker panel. So, see, that is F up here, and breaker number 5. Number 5 is here, so the one in here will activate, but if I flip this back up to the generator, now it has no effect, and I'll show you why. Alright, so essentially what I did is I was just toggling back and forth between the power company and the inverter via this switch. Just kind of doing this number, putting to the center, and doing that number. So it was coming through here, hitting my lights, coming through here, hitting my lights to the inverter. So I was just turning it on and off by switching the source of power. So over here, if I have situation, say I come to my camp and I have no power, I typically, when I leave, the situation I have normally is this. So what's happening here, I'm relying on shore power. I call it shore power to load up everything. An inverter is not connected to any critical loads. It is being connected to the power company so it can maintain my batteries. Put this out the way. And so if I come here, I have no power. I have to come down here and physically move the switch over to get lights. Because then what will happen, the batteries, of course, will invert and put potential over here to this breaker. My other option would be to crank up my generator and throw this transfer switch mechanically over here like that. So now my generator could power up my Magnum. It would charge my batteries, in addition run through the Magnum and put potential here. So at that time I could, it's still being dark here, I'd put this switch back in that position. Now I can be charging my batteries with my generator and then hit my loads. Or if I gotta service my generator, give it a break or whatever. Of course, you know, I had no power from the power company, no power from my generator. There's an internal switch here. It senses it and go ahead and start inverting and putting power back to my critical loads. So I'm going to show you what this transfer switch looks like. I got this little locking mechanism defeated for the sake of showing you all this. So right now this is dead in here because I have the power right here disconnected, and again we're just inverting. And on the other side of this wall I have a little plug for the generator. The generator plugs into that, and the wires for that plug come out here and attach to the bottom. I just have all the legs plus a neutral broke. And so this thing, the middle part here, is sort of like the common of a toggle switch, if you will. This middle part goes to my Magnum. So that supplies power to my Magnum. So right now it's in the shore position. Of course, if I pull it down, the night switch is disengaged and it's not connected to either. And if I want generator, I'll just show you here. So it's, you got your on, shore power off in the middle. The generator would be all the way down if I had the generator on, and then I could potentially go crank up the generator and then power my Magnum, which would charge my batteries and power my critical loads box. So right now what I'm going to do, I'm going to flip this back up here, and then I'm going to turn the power on to this panel, and then what will happen is the inverter will sense that power and change. There's an internal switch in here too. It'll go ahead and automatically switch to shore power, turn it on, and it'll start doing two things actually. It'll start charging my batteries. It might go into bulk charge or maintenance charge depending on the state of the batteries. And then it'll also run through the Magnum and go to my critical loads panel. So I'm going to go ahead and do that. It takes about 3 or 4 seconds. I'm putting power on. Take a look at this. It's inverting. You might see the lights flicker as it transfer switch in the Magnum, which it just did. So the Magnum has a built-in transfer switch that just saw the power coming in from the power company and flipped over. And I was charging my batteries, but my lights are still on. Get this thing to stop blinking. I got these little devices down here. Try to do this one-handed. I'm going to stick my hands too far in. This thing is now hot, and these things, if I just press this button once with the nail, it'll stop blinking. But I have these mainly in here to monitor how much power is being used, or how much power the Magnum is pulling. Mainly for, you know, when I have my generators in there, it also shows how much. This is driving nuts, so I got to do this. There. It's mainly again so I can see how much power is being put, how much drain is being put on my generator. And it also does the same thing for my mainline power. It's monitoring that too. So again, that's just seeing how much this Magnum is pulling to charge the batteries and to supply power to the critical loads. So I think I demoed everything. So right now we're all bulk charging, and this case scenario I have now, it's in this position. So we got power coming through that little disconnect switch because I energized it, going through the transfer switch that's in this position now, charge my batteries, and running through this to my critical loads panel. So what I'm going to do now is just go ahead and switch this back to here. You'll see the lights just go off for a second. Now that's going back to line, which is through the power company, and this will have no effect, but the other one will. I hope this didn't confuse anybody. I have solar system, but I also have some 100-foot trees out there, so I got to build a tower or do some serious cutting. You would put in the solar system here and have a supplement power to charge your batteries. That's what most people do. So anyway, any questions, feel free to ask.